Improving your stopping distance doesn't always mean hours in a parking lot practicing. In fact, there are 3 small habits you can start using right now that will make a huge difference when it comes time to stop a motorcycle in a hurry. The first one is covering the front brake. Your reaction time has a big influence over total stopping distance. The average rider's reaction time is about 0.75 seconds. At 60 miles per hour, that equates to 66 feet of travel before you ever touch the front brake. By covering the brake, I'm referring to using 1, maybe 2 fingers on that front brake lever, just resting it there, not applying pressure to that brake, because if you apply pressure, you're going to activate the tail light, but you're just resting them on top of that brake lever. While some riders choose to cover the front brake all the time, personally I cover the front brake when I'm approaching intersections, especially with cars present, in heavier traffic situations, or anytime my spidey senses are telling me that I need to. So if there's a lot of cars around me, I'm probably going to be covering that front brake. So if it takes 0.75 seconds on average of reaction time, it makes logical sense that having your fingers in the proper position will reduce that time. But how much does it actually help? Well, covering the front brake shaves about 0.18 to 0.19 seconds of reaction time compared to having all 4 fingers wrapped around the throttle, so you'll react notably faster if your fingers are poised on the lever. So assuming a speed of 60 miles per hour, 0.19 savings in time and reaction time equals 17 feet in stopping distance saved before the brakes are ever even applied on the motorcycle. That 17 feet is about 1 full car length in stopping distance saved by covering the front brake. Before we get into these other tips, I want to encourage you to support this channel. The most basic thing you can do to support the channel is to subscribe to MCrider on YouTube or like and share the videos. That tells YouTube that these videos are important and they're important to you, and it helps them spread the videos out to other viewers. But I also think there are other ways that you can show support and pay it forward for other riders looking to develop their skill. The first is to become a member of MCrider. At certain levels, you'll get a free field guide sent directly to your home. You can get access to the best and most complete forums I know of for motorcycle safety and riding technique, with none of the drama that you'll find in other social media platforms. Details for membership can be found at mcrider.com/member. I also offer books, MCrider books, hats like this, decals. All of those can be found at mcrider.com/store, and offer other ways for you to support this channel. All of this makes MCrider possible and allows you to show your appreciation for the content that I've been providing online now for nearly 10 years. The next thing we want to talk about is using both brakes when we come to a stop. Many riders get used to using only one brake, either the front or the rear. This habit has a huge impact on total stopping distance. If you use the rear brake alone, you can produce about 0.4 Gs of deceleration. The front brake produces a little more at 0.7 Gs of deceleration, and using the front and rear brakes produces about 0.8 G in deceleration. So, using our 60 mile per hour as our baseline, we get these numbers in total stopping distance. Rear brake alone will stop at about 303 feet at 60 miles per hour. Front brake alone, we're stopping in about 173 feet, and using both brakes, our stopping distance is reduced to around 151 feet. So using both brakes over the front brake alone saves us more than 20 feet in stopping distance, and using both brakes over the rear brake alone saves a whopping 152 feet in total stopping distance. These numbers will vary by several factors, including the type and style of motorcycle you ride, but they give you a good starting point for this conversation. The best way I know of to reinforce the use of both brakes is to use both brakes every time you come to a stop. That develops the muscle memory so that you're more likely to use both brakes when needed. The final thing we want to talk about is proper hand and wrist position when you go to the throttle. The way you position your hand on the throttle has a huge impact on total stopping distance, and it solves another frequent problem. If you start with your wrist high when you go to the throttle, you either have to reposition your hand on the throttle before reaching for the brake, or you inadvertently roll on the throttle when reaching for the front brake. This happens frequently when riders practice emergency braking. They attempt to stop quickly, and they end up rolling on the throttle as they're reaching for that front brake during the stop. The culprit is poor wrist position. You want your wrist flat on the throttle, not bent. That way your fingers are in proper position to stop the motorcycle. Some riders attempt to overcome this by releasing the grip on the motorcycle and repositioning their hand prior to applying the brakes, but that creates some other problems. Here's some footage of me demonstrating this problem at about 25 miles per hour. So let's approach these green cones at 25 miles per hour with my wrist in the improper position. Notice I have to reposition my hand in order to reach for the front brake, and then we'll set a cone where my stopping distance was. So let's run the same exercise again, this time with my wrist in the flat position so that I don't have to reposition my hand to get to the front brake. So this is a close-up of my hand from that first stop with my wrist in the improper position. Notice how far I have to move my hand off of the throttle in order to get to the front brake. And here's a close-up with the wrist in the proper position, and notice how much smoother my hand is going to that brake, saving me a lot of time and stopping distance. In fact, in this instance, it saved me 14 feet in stopping distance at only 25 miles per hour. So, 3 simple, no practice tips that can shave a lot of distance off your total stopping distance in an emergency. It really is the difference between stopping short of the crash or hitting a vehicle at speed. The next time you go for a ride, pay attention to your riding, and if any of these are bad habits that apply to you, now you have the knowledge to overcome them, and you also know how big of a difference it can make in your riding. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a member of MCrider. You get access to the forums and the field guide and a whole lot more. All the details can be found at mcrider.com/member.